Hello everyone, and today I wanted to go over a program called Rainmeter. I was told about this program, downloaded it, started messing around with it, and it's really cool. So I just kind of wanted to tell you all about it and show you kind of how to install it and play around with it. So what it essentially is a way for you to super customize your desktop beyond the original capabilities of just Windows 7. So let me just go ahead and minimize this so you can kind of see what exactly can be done with this. So this is essentially kind of what I've done for my desktop, at least for the moment. I may end up changing it a bit. But now, I mean, just keep in mind, this is not the only thing that can be done. You can do literally anything you want to. This is just the stuff that I put on there. But there's an infinite amount of things that you could go out there and play with. So this, now that you kind of know what this is, I'm going to bring back up the website and show you sort of how to play around with this. What you're going to need to do, of course, is download the program first. Just download it, install it. It's pretty simple. You'll just need to make sure that you do set it to run on startup. I believe there's an option for that whenever you're installing it, because if you don't run it on startup, essentially this is a program. So if I open up my task manager and I scroll down there, so I have rainmeter.exe running all the time, and if I were to exit Rainmeter, all of this would go away. So you don't want it to start up whenever your computer starts up, just because if you want to be able to use this as a desktop, then you'll have to have it running whenever your computer runs. So anyway, well, of course, once you've downloaded and everything, what'll happen is it'll likely start up, and it'll be running down here in the little tray, so you can have it access to it at all times. If you click it, open it up, you'll get to this menu. So this is essentially what I'm going to be going over this tutorial. I'm not going to be going over editing any files or any sort of programming or anything. This is just sort of the basics to this program. I may in the future end up going over how to actually edit the files and change up some stuff, because this is a completely open source program, as well as all of the skins that are associated with it. So you can go into any of the files and any of the skins or widgets or even the program itself and just edit away, and there's no problem. And then you can re-upload your version of it and for all to see. So just keep that in mind. But whenever you do first open this up, the only thing you're going to have in this left folder over here is the Illustrio thing. This is sort of a more or less tutorial-esque style skin. It provides some cool functionality as well. It's got several neat things like a clock, right, which is up here. So kind of neat little clock. And I'm actually using a couple things from it, but it's pretty basic, just sort of a basic sort of widgets that you can have. And it has a help welcome menu kind of thing, this right here. So you can kind of click on some of the links. It'll bring us to some web pages. But essentially that's it. So what you're going to have to do is go online, and just, there's no really one place to get all of these things, but you're going to have to download skins. Now there's several websites that you can go to get them, but really you're just going to have to go online and search for Rainmeter skins. And you'll know whenever you see them, but if you go I know there's a place where it shows. Nope, that's the wrong spot. There's a spot you can go to that shows where you can get these. Forum. No, that's not it. I apologize. Okay, discover. Here, there it is. So this has a list of several sites that you can go to right off the bat to get some of these. Customize.org is a good place. DeviantArt has some good things. I've been to both. The forum is also a good place to get some, but it's a little harder to kind of find things there. Also, Rainmeter Hub is another good location to go to. So that'll just kind of get you started looking for skins. But I mean, these are all just Rainmeter skins you can go and just download and mess around with. So anyway, once you've downloaded the ones that you want, you just, let me actually click on one here. So if I click on this, and I could just click the download button over here, and it'll download in. Once you've downloaded that, it'll be in your downloads folder by default, unless you have it set to somewhere else. What you're going to want to do is one of two things. In your documents folder, there's where Rainmeter keeps all of the skin files, right? So all of the skins are in here, and you'll notice that this matches up exactly to what's in here. So Aperture Desktop, Arcs, Circle Theme, all of those things are in here. So if you're going to be adding any new skins, they need to go into this folder. Now, I've also been storing all of the stuff from the downloads folder. I just drag into here, so I have backups in case somehow they get deleted. But you'll get one of two files whenever you download the skins folders, or the skin files. Because Rainmeter just recently updated, and they now support a new format, which is a Rainmeter skin installer format, which is this green thing here. All of the newer skins, or skins that have updated appropriately, have these Rainmeter skin installers. If you click on it, it'll automatically install it for you, and you can just select the things that you want, and you can also have it apply a layout, which I'll discuss in a minute. And you're good to go. You don't have to do anything else. It's really, really easy. However, because it wants to keep backwards compatibility, it also supports the older version of just dragging and dropping. So if you happen to get a zip file or RAR file, whatever you use, just open it up, and that's the wrong file. You'll just need to open it up, and you can see in this folder, this Technologic folder, is all of the stuff that goes with this skin. So all I need to do is just drag this folder into this skins folder, and it'll be installed. Okay, so those are the two ways that you'll install these. It's pretty simple. So once you get all of the skins that you want to use installed, you'll either have to refresh the Rainmeter thing, like right here, or just exit and open it back up again to get it to realize that there's new skins available. It's not going to update in real time, so you'll just have to refresh it some way. And then you can just kind of pick and choose. I do recommend, before you start moving things around and placing things on your desktop, that you go through and look at quite a bunch of different skins and widgets and things like that to get an idea of what's out there, and then download all the things that you want. I have a lot more stuff here in my skins folder than I'm actually using, but I'm using a lot of different things from various skins and various different people all at the same time. I'm using a lot of different things. So you kind of want to be able to know what's out there before you can really decide on what you want. Now, you don't have to do that, but it's just sort of a recommendation. If you want to just use one people's thing, that's fine, because there are people who make entire... If I go to here, you can see what I'm talking about. There are entire sections of this, like entire skins. So this is just an entire pre-done layout and everything. So you could just use this just by itself. But if you want to kind of fiddle with your own, you can do that. So anyway, once you've got everything together, you can just open up these folders, kind of view what's there, and double click or just click on it and click load. And it'll kind of load it in here. So I'm not actually sure. Oh, there it is. So this is that now. So that's the little computer information thingy-majigger. Let's open something else. So I could just go through here, load this one in if I wanted to, or all these different things. So you load all of them in, and you can just move them around really easily. Sometimes it can be a little difficult clicking on it, but just you can kind of move it around and place it where you want it. And you've got a couple different things you can fiddle with here. If I click on, let me just bring this back in. Here in this little menu here, I can set, because this is the one currently selected. See, this is selected. So I can toggle all of these various options here. I can set the actual manual coordinates. So if you know the coordinates of your computer, you can set it to be an exact spot. If you want it in like the exact middle of your computer. And I mean, you can actually find out fairly easily, because if I do like 2000, that's basically the max in that section. And you can do the same with the other one to figure out what the middle is. So that's one way of doing that. And then you can just, use that to calculate where you want things. The positioning is not so much actual position, but more of like its depth. Because what will happen if you put two on top of each other is that one will render over the other. So right now this disk thing is rendering on top of the recycling bin little circle thing. But if I set this position to be on desktop, now it's the opposite, right? So this position refers to which ones are going to be rendering on top of each other. Now this doesn't just refer to the order on your desktop. If I set this to be on stay topmost, this will actually render on top of other windows. So in a way this can be useful because, for instance, this little calendar thing up here, I could set that to render. It's going to be at the very top of the screen. It's very small. And so whenever if I set this to be topmost, and I bring up this, it's always going to be up there, and I can see the day of the week. I mean, obviously I'm going to know what day of the week it is. But if you wanted to use that in some other fashion, you can. So it's not necessarily a bad thing having it constantly render on top of your windows, as long as it's out of the way. So just keep that in mind. But I'm going to set that back to like it's supposed to be. And this one I'm going to unload. Okay, so, whoops, actually need that up. Alright, in addition to that, you have load order. If you wanted to specifically tell it what order to load in, you can do that. Transparency, so obviously that just, 90%, it'll be hardly visible. Now this can matter if you're stacking multiple things on top of each other. So, for instance, some of these skins add things like this to kind of give you like a just area to place stuff in. But if you have multiple of these on your desktop, you can actually set the transparency to be less whenever you stack them on top of each other, so that they'll be the transparency that you want. So this is actually 50%, and I have two of them. So I stick two of them on top of each other, and it's back down to 0% transparency. Now the reason I have two of them is because it doesn't quite go all the way down to the bottom for my desktop. So I just use two of them, and I kind of overlay them a little bit, and that works. So that's just kind of how you can use the transparency. On hover, obviously you can set what the hover does. If you wanted to, maybe stack multiple of them on top of each other, and then have, if you hover your mouse over it, it'll kind of like disappear and you can click on something else if you want to do it that way. I don't know. And that's pretty much it. The display monitor you don't really need to mess with. It's just, how you want to display things on it, or which monitor to use and that sort of thing. That's not really something you're gonna have to worry about. That's pretty much it as far as this goes. Obviously, you've seen me do this a couple times. You have access to all of these settings through a right-click context menu. Go to Settings, Position, Display Monitor, right? Transparency. It's all there. You can use the same thing, and you even have access to a 2D rendering thing that's not on this. So. You can also unload the skin from here, and what's even really cool is you can see variants. Now, that's one thing I want to discuss. The variants in this are essentially any files that are in the same folder. So, if you'll notice, there's two files in this folder. So I can switch between the variants like this. It just kind of changes from one disk to two disks, and I could double click them here. But if you notice, if I unload this one and load this one, that's fine. Okay, that makes sense. You're unloading one and loading in the other. But if I click on this one right here and click load while this one's still loaded, it automatically unloads it and replaces it with that one. And that's just sort of the way that this program works. So if you want to have multiple of the same object, you're going to have to make it in a new folder. So for instance, if I wanted to be displaying two of these for whatever reason, maybe I want to go in and edit the actual files and stuff and have it display two different disks, and then I bring up another one of these and have it do two other disks or something like that. If you wanted to do that, you would have to make a new folder, either within this folder or some other folder somewhere. Okay, it doesn't matter where, but just a new folder with this file in it. So basically, per folder, you can only have one, essentially, INI file active at a time. But you can have as many of them active. You just have to have a lot of different folders. So for each one of these widgets that I have up, there's a different folder containing each one. And that's usually why, that's always why, whenever you open up these skins, there's a whole bunch of different folders and then subfolders and sometimes subfolders, just so that you can have all of these different things active either at the same time, or sometimes you can have different variants and whatnot. So just keep that in mind. If you want to have multiples, just simply make a copy and just drag it in there and make another copy and stuff like that. So, okay. Now you can also access anything from the same main folder. Now essentially what I mean by main folder is, if I bring up my documents again, the skins folder is essentially where everything is stored. So each one of these things is the start of a new skin. Now this one is in no way related to this, but if I go into this folder, all of these things are related to each other because they all pertain to the desktop folder. But the desktop plus folder doesn't have anything to do with the Enigma folder. Okay, so anything within one of those folders, if you right click on here, if you go to there, you can see all of the other things within that one skins folder, but you can't see other skins folders. Okay, so you can actually go here to kind of easily switch between all of the things, and you can click on one to enable it, or click on one that's already enabled to de-enable it. So that's one way that you can access this. Technically, you don't actually have to have this up here at all. You just get one thing from each little folder out and active, and then you can easily just enable or disable just using the right-click context menus. But you do have to have this up here, at least somewhat, so you can grab stuff from different folders, because you can't actually access anything else except the Illustrio stuff. Well, whenever you right-click on an Illustrio item. Okay. So that's that. There are a couple other buttons up here, like refresh all and refresh. That's just going to, if you make changes to it, the actual file somehow, you'll have to refresh it so it updates with the changes. That's pretty simple to understand. Edit will just bring you to the file that you're selected. It'll actually bring you to that file, and you can make changes to it if you wish. Again, this is open source. You can make as many changes to stuff as you want to. It's very easy to do so. I'm not going to be covering how to do that in this tutorial, but just be aware that you can. Alright, now, if you wanted to create your own RM skin, Rainmeter skin package thing to create your own little installer thing, you can easily just click on this, and then just add a little bit of information and just start adding stuff in, and it'll just compile it all correctly for you. And you can make your own version of this. So you just have to have all of this stuff to add. Now, a layout is essentially something that you can set up as well. Now, I've got some of these already set up that came with installers. And essentially what it is a way that the creator of this, of that particular skin, the way that he had it set up on his own thing. And so if you download like an entire theme, then you can use the layout that they have prepared and actually install it in all the proper positioning, and everything will just be set up already for you. And you can feel free to change it at that point, but it overwrites whatever you already have done and just pre-creates stuff for you. And you can include wallpapers if you want as well, so that's pretty cool if you wanted to package those with everything. So let me do something real quick. This one. Okay, so you see down here it says apply included loadout, and then layouts replace. So what this is going to do is if I clicked install, it would apply the layout that this is to this, and it would pretty much put all of this Aperture desktop theme stuff onto my computer in the order that it has, and if it has a desktop with it, it'll also place that desktop as the default desktop. So it's really cool. If you want to just have a really easy to install theme, you can just download one, install it, and you're good to go. But it's also not, you also want to be aware of something like that if you're downloading a skin to use a couple of the parts of it, but you also don't want to replace everything that you've already worked on your own thing. So just keep that in mind. You want to keep an eye out for that whenever you're downloading stuff. Alright, now settings, of course, this is just some simple settings for Rainmeter and whatnot that you can mess around with if you wish. And that's pretty much all there is to this program. The main thing is just, of course, downloading and just kind of placing around and customizing various things with this program. Now, a lot of the time, you are going to have to edit files to get stuff to work. For instance, I downloaded a little launcher thing, this, and it's essentially just a launcher that allows you to name the actual, put some text in, and then you just click on it, and it launches the location for you. So I've got essentially this. I can just click on these various things, and it opens up folders on my computer. But I had to go into the file, so change the font, change the coloring, and then change the actual links to my computer, and then change the names and all that stuff. So you in some cases, a lot of the time, in some cases the skins or widgets or whatever that you download aren't going to work off the bat. These little things down here I have yet to actually set up. So if I click on this one, which is supposed to be for Minecraft, it doesn't do anything because I have to link it to Minecraft. I have to tell it where my Minecraft location is. Right. So a lot of the time these aren't going to work just as is. Sometimes they will, but sometimes they won't. And so you'll just have to keep that in mind. For some of the more advanced things, you will have to edit some files. Now, I may do that, and I may do a tutorial on kind of editing files a little better in the future. If people request it, or I just may do it if I have time. But as for now, that's pretty much all there is to it. So, thanks for watching.